Hey everybody, today I'll be showing you how to paint a simple evergreen landscape. For this tutorial, I'll be using the default paintbrushes in Procreate. Nothing special, we'll be using the oil paintbrush for the majority of the painting, along with the dry brush for later in the video. You'll want to start off with where you want to have your foreground tree. For simplicity's sake, I'm putting it right in the center of the picture. I then grab a reddish brown color and put my brush at a lower size for the trunk. After this, I then move to a darker bluish green color for the base of the leaves. Evergreen trees tend to have all of their leaves fanning down and out, so to achieve this look, what you want to do is have your brush move in a downward arc with the top part being the closest to the trunk. Start from the top of the tree and work your way down, gradually getting bigger at the bottom. Don't keep a consistent triangle shape, or else your tree will end up looking very flat and will lack depth. I'll do one more pass along the tree with a smaller brush to indicate individual needles of the tree. Create a new layer and pick a slightly brighter and yellower color. Do the same marking motions as before and cover the majority of the tree, but don't quite go all the way to the trunk. This helps add a bit of shading. Same as before, create a new layer and grab a slightly brighter and yellower green. However, this time, use a smaller brush size and focus on one side of the tree, as this will be the beginning of your highlights. These highlights help define the shape of the tree and establish a light source. And then finally we finish off with the brighter highlights. What I did was I took a borderline yellow-green color, and then I focused on the very left side of the tree where my light source is coming from, and then I focused on the very edge of each leaf to help define its shape. And here we're going to start on the grass. We are going to be doing very similar steps that we used for the tree, starting with a very dark bluish color and working our way up to a borderline yellowy green type color. But you'll see that later on in the video, I end up changing the blue color to more of a darker green color, as the blue was a bit too contrasty and didn't really flow or work well into the piece overall. And here's where I switched to the dry brush. I find that the Procreate dry brush is very good for painting grass blades because it gives you the little individual strands that I am always personally looking for whenever I'm doing a landscape painting. I know it's very hard to tell right here, but I'm taking a slightly brighter green and I'm focusing on the very edge of each grass blade to add the little highlights. What I'm doing with the grass here is what I did with the tree previously. I'm taking my yellower, brighter greens. I'm focusing more on the left side where my light source is coming from. And I'm keeping the right side and directly underneath the tree, those darker bluish greens. And here I'm taking my darker bluish green and I'm going over in the shaded area and adding some more highlights and a bit more density to the grass. And here I'm changing the darker blue base to that brighter green like I talked about earlier in the video, though I'm keeping in mind of my light source and I'm keeping directly underneath the tree and to the right of the tree more of that darker blue for the shading. Here I'm creating a new layer on top of everything. This layer I'm going to be adding a little bit more grass around the base of the trunk. This is going to help plant that trunk into the ground and make it actually feel like it's growing out of the ground rather than just float there. And now for the background, I'm just doing a very simple bright blue with the left side being a slightly brighter purple to add a bit more interest to the sky. And now for the background trees. For the background trees, I did the same process that I used for the main foreground evergreen tree. However, I didn't use a trunk for the base. Rather, I just hopped right into loosely painting in the leaves for the background trees. And I kept the tones a bit brighter and ever so slightly more blue to add that slight depth that you get with objects going off into the distance. I end up not adding any sort of super intricate details to the very background trees because those are details that will end up getting lost with atmospheric scattering, and since they are so far in the back, you're not going to be able to see any of those types of details with all the objects in the foreground anyways. And to bring the foreground and the background together, I add a slight fade with the airbrush to the back of the grass to insinuate that there is grass that is going off into the distance, but is being blurred and cover up with that atmosphere. And that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you guys got something out of it. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, or dislike if you didn't. Anyways, take care.